at the 15. He's on his feet. 10, 5, touchdown.
The Jake Nulph Show.
Go Burrow.
Welcome to Charlie's Pub and Eatery, another episode of the Jake Nulph Show. We're live here just past the lake on Route 99. And, of course, very, very difficult road opponent, top 10 in America coach, Kutztown defending Super Region 1 champion, hotter than the gates of hell. And let me reiterate, it was so hot in the press box that like literally technology was failing because it was so hot. Kudos to my wife. And, of course, Kutztown's athletic training staff, too. No cramps. I was really worried that was going to be the case. But this is going to be sort of a segmented theme. Early, you guys, let's be honest, squandered some field position opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about it, Joe, and that was the thing when 3 of your first 4 drives, we got the ball to start on our own 40 with only 60 yards to go. And we were moving a little bit. We got in rhythm. And then we talked about this off camera, and I'm sure you'll get to it. The second down woes. We were on schedule first down, but it was second down that seemed to be the issue where they were able to create some negative plays for us, which then put us in the third and unmanageables there. But, yeah, first series, we had the ball on our own 40 going in. The second series, we had it on the 20. And then the third series, defense forces a turnover, sets us up on the 17, and we fumble an opportunity away at the 1. And then the fourth series, we had the ball at midfield. So, yeah, I thought early in that football game, we had an opportunity to jump out. But credit to Kutztown and their defense. They certainly didn't allow us to do that. And then defensively, we had some field position, and it was crazy. The 10-play, 80-yard scoring drive that they had was like the longest of the field position. It was an interesting game, and momentum certainly shifted in the third quarter, and we'll get to that. But I felt like we really had seized some momentum with the play by Hutch on the fumble. They throw a now ball, and our defense rallied. It's so much fun to watch those guys run to the football. And we had the big hit. Toby scooped and tried to score, but got us down to the 17. And then Gavin Ennis makes an incredible catch on 3rd and 8 and was just fighting for the extra yards and, fumbles on the 1, whether he's down or not. The referees called it. We've got to live with that. And 1st and 10 from the 1-yard line, and we tackled their running back in the end zone, and it was a safety not. They called him down at the 1. But we were able to hold field position there. And then we got the ball at the 50, and we couldn't kind of get that momentum back in our favor there. And, we go in down 9. And then the third quarter, they started to impose their will a little bit, and they made some big splash plays, and then that was kind of the 26-0 outcome.
I saw the video of the D2 football. Kerry Moyer had posted the video. My initial reaction was I didn't even know if he caught the ball because it happened so quickly. The video,
great catch.
The video did show that he caught it. Now, was the ball moving? So, there's a whole sequence here.
They called what they called. We've got to play.
Yeah, there's a whole sequence here, and I don't know if you would have won the challenge on that. But why didn't you challenge the safety?
Unfortunately, Joe, in the PSAC, there are 3 venues that you have instant replay. It is us, IUP, and East Stroudsburg. Every other game we're going to go to, there is no.
I didn't know that.
There's no instant replay. There's no challenges. So. I definitely would have challenged that play. Unfortunately, we didn't have the luxury. The referees saw what they saw, and, we got to play football. But I thought at that moment, you go in 7-6, you take the lead. Okay, well, we fumbled it away. Then it's 1st and 10 from there. They got to go 99 yards. Again, Coach Papp dials up pretty much the same pressure that he dialed up against Robert Morris at Lands. We just did it the other way. And Tristan tackles their running back in the end zone, and, they saw something that we didn't. And then it's 2nd and 10 from the 1, and, but again, the ability to seize momentum early in a game like that. You mentioned how good Kutztown is. I think they're up to number 8 in the country right now. They were 9 last week. They're the defending Super Region 1 champions. In a game like that, we have to seize momentum, and we have to take advantage of opportunities when they present themselves. They didn't allow us to do that, and kudos to Coach and his staff and his players. They won the game, and we didn't make enough plays to win.
Yeah, it was certainly, obviously one of my questions is answered because I wanted to know why you challenged or didn't challenge the interception that wasn't an interception that I said in real time. And I guess I said this in the broadcast, so I'll say this now. I don't want you to be fined like Pat Narduzzi. I just thought it really odd that the official with the worst vantage point made the call. There was no conversation. When Toby earlier got called for pass interference, they had a conversation and they waved it off. And I just thought it's such a pivotal time in the game that there wouldn't have been what did you see? Okay, it's a pick, but we just went on about our way. And
those were two critical plays too. And again, they made those plays. We didn't. Referees called it the way they called it. We have to play regardless, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing where if we win the first challenge, you get the second one, we challenge that one too. But it wasn't meant to be. I'm certainly not in the excuse-making business, Joe. I mean, they made the plays. We didn't. We didn't have the opportunity to challenge. The referees saw what they saw, and we got to line up and play. And credit to Kutztown. They made more critical plays in those situations where, the Robert Morris game, we made those plays.
Yeah.
And we're sitting here talking about a tie ball game 2 weeks ago where Reed hits a 74-yard punt and we down it inside the one, and we just weren't able to get the field flipped in the kicking game this week. We didn't make those timely blocks. We dialed up a punt block, Joe, and when I tell you I paused the film, and I'm sure Toby can answer this when he comes up, it's an inch from his hand. And in these type of football games, we have to make those plays. We didn't. And then the third quarter, when's the last time we said we've had a punt blocked?
Yeah.
No, and they made those plays. And it was an effort play. Look, number 95 from Kutztown.
Redder was a man. I got tired of saying his name.
He's as advertised. That young man's a tremendous player. I love the way he plays. He's an effort guy. He's a high motor guy. I like the way Kutztown plays. That's a physical football team. They do things the right way. And we came out on the short end of the stick, unfortunately, from that standpoint. However, Fighting Scots Nation, it is not all doom and gloom. We made a lot of really good plays on Saturday against the number one team in Super Region 1. We just didn't make enough plays to win. But, defensively, some of the field position that they were putting
when you're plus 35, plus 23, and you hold to field goals,
yeah.
I mean, that is a win on top of a win on top of a win. And then I thought the other thing is really, you alluded to this, and we're not talking of the moral victory variety here, but, in terms of the football game, the lion's share of the contest, it was a two-score game. And, of course, from, our perspective, we can't get out of our own way. And then it felt like every 50-50 call went the other way. Yeah. And it's just really hard to sort of regain any footing and move forward.
But that's the thing where I think we've got a mature group. I know we have a mature football team. And that's what we just got to keep playing and keep battling. And sometimes, to quote Keanu Reeves in The Replacement, sometimes it's that quicksand feeling that you've got to fight out of and try to get the momentum play to flip in your favor. And, it just wasn't our day in that category on Saturday. Our guys played extremely hard. Our coaches coached extremely hard. We just came on the short end of the stick. Now, when you look at our three opponents throughout the first 3 weeks, we've been in some battles and some wars, and it's not going to get any easier this week as we fast forward to Bloomsburg. But we've got to learn lessons from Saturday, and we have to have the ability to turn the page and get ready for Bloom.
I wanted to take a deeper dive on the second down comment. We always talk about being on schedule, staying on schedule. It wasn't first down that was the problem. Normally when you're facing third and long, it's because of some inadequacies on first down. What was it? Something that you guys were failing? Was it something they were doing? But it seemed that every time we'd be second and 4, here would come a big negative play and it'd be 3rd and 13.
Well, I think it was, again, credit to their coaching staff and the game that they called. They were dialing up some pressures and doing some things that we just weren't able to execute, and they knocked us off schedule. I mean, there was a couple things from an RPO standpoint that they did a good job of making some things cloudy for Isaac. And, unfortunately, when you're in that type of ball game, I mean, Joe, look, you know this. We talked about it all week last week. We're on the road. We're in Super Region 1, number 1 team there, number 9 in the country. We have to have the ability to make some plays, and we just didn't make enough of them. The second down enigma is, after we watched it, it was, they were bowling some strikes, and unfortunately we threw a couple gutter balls there. But, even on third down, you look at our numbers, what were we, 5 for 17?
I mean, it wasn't terrible.
No, but
the one thing that was worth noting,
it wasn't in
defensively,
the 40%.
But defensively, third down, you weren't terrible. I mean, if you look at the box score without any scoring attached to it, 26-0 wouldn't necessarily be what it reflected. I just thought that we touched on this to go full circle. They made better use of your mistakes than you did theirs.
I agree. There's no doubt. We didn't capitalize on their mistakes. They capitalized on our mistakes. And again, that's the reason why they're the number 1 team in Super Region 1 and moved up to number 8. And, we've got to learn from this game. And, I thought from our Monday practice standpoint, we went shells and we got after it a little bit today. And I really liked our guys' energy. We just got to get back on the horse and start riding and, hit the reset button and get ready for Bloom.
All right, Toby Cline's going to join us when we come back. We're live from Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99, just past the lake. This is the Jake Nulph Show. Back with more right after this.
At the 15, he's on his feet. 10, 5, touchdown!
The Jake Nulph Show.
Go Burrow.
All right, welcome back to Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99, just past the lake. Toby Cline joining us here on the Jake Nulph Show. And Toby, nice shirt, first of all. Got to get that out of there. We're twinsies today. I should have. I'm always worried that Coach Nulph and I don't wear the same thing. I guess I should start looking your way as well. All right. I just want to sort of walk through because, Coach has his perspective. I've got my perspective. But I want to get your perspective. It just felt right, wrong, or indifferent. It felt like one step forward, 2 steps back. Or it just the whole game flow every time. It felt like there was a win for us, and it didn't matter if it was special teams or defense or offense. It seemed inevitably the very next play would go the other way. What's that like, especially in a game that was, 9-0 for the lion's share of the, it was so tight. But what's that like in the huddle and, for morale? Kind of walk us through, your team leader. What's that like to make sure that you're coaching everybody up to make sure you're not quitting?
Yeah, the biggest thing is I think we just started off slow, and going against an opponent like Kutztown, that is something that we really couldn't do. So starting off slow, not having the momentum early, really slowed us down, and we just kind of, as defense, we kind of just had to regroup, settle down, have those talks, communication on the sideline, and just settle in and just start playing together.
Now, I know that Coach Nulph, when I talked to him after the game, was a little upset about some of the explosive plays, but I told him I went the other way. I said, well, they were 0 for vertical shots. I think their explosive plays was yards after the catch. You're in the back end of that defense. You're the leader of the back end of that defense. Was there something, because it just felt that every time Novak looked to push it vertically, there was Atkins, I thought, was really, really good. Hutcherson, made a big play as well. But what was it from the corners? Because that's a good receiving group. They just didn't ever seem to get beat.
Yeah, I mean, some plays we got lucky. They had a couple steps on us, but, the quarterback just didn't make a good enough throw. But, yeah, the yards after catch, not being in the right spot and chasing guys in zone or cutting guys loose in man, that they – the quarterback missed a couple easy throws, and it really could have hurt us when we were able to get lucky and bailed out of them. But, yeah, defensively we did defend pretty well, but it just comes down to doing our assignment and playing football.
Now, without this is a family-friendly program, but you got whistled for pass interference that was ultimately overturned. Are you campaigning in that situation, or does the back judge just come in and is there any? Are you a participant in the conversation?
I mean, I voiced my opinion, obviously, but it was an uncatchable ball. I don't feel like I grabbed or tugged at all, and he said I grabbed his jersey, and I was just like, it was uncatchable. It was 5 yards in the back end zone. He was just like, no, you grabbed him, and then the refs talked about it, and the judge that had a better view ended up picking the flag up.
Now, You talk about rebuilding. You got Bloomsburg and then obviously Slippery Rock. Things don't get any easier in terms of the heavy lifting. And I'm not going to downplay Bloomsburg because that's who's next on the schedule. But in terms of what your ultimate goal is, it is PSAC West play. Now, obviously, in the postseason, if you're fortunate enough to get there, the losses will hurt you for seeding purposes. But when you look at, in terms of the frustration of losing an East Stroudsburg game that I think you could have won, and then the fact that you couldn't kick the can far enough to get any momentum, but yet the season's still all in front of you. Yes, it's unfortunate. The record is what the record is. But until you get into PSAC West play, ultimately, that's what truly matters. In terms of your approach, is that a conversation that you guys have, or is it just the the James Franklin one game at a time, Bloomsburg?
Yeah, I mean, right now our mindset's on Bloomsburg. We got to keep scratching and clawing, winning each day, every meeting, winning practice, everything. We got to be very disciplined this week. We got a tough opponent that likes to do a lot of RPO, a lot of triple option. So we're going to have to have everyone locked in, being disciplined to their role and what gap they need to be in.
The other thing I wanted to ask you, you've played with a lot of guys. And, yes, there are some new guys. Corey's back there. But in terms, and Adrian, but in terms of continuity, now there's a lot of snaps with Jermaine. There's a lot of snaps with Kyrell. There's a lot of snaps with Tristan and CJ. There's a lot of snaps with Fredo. In terms of your communication and your conversations in real time, how much better is your vision from what you see based on now that you've had so many snaps with those guys together in one group? And I think when you look at the growth, I think, obviously last year wasn't any fun, but the upside to last year is so many of those kids got to play that nobody expected or anticipated them having to play as much as they did.
Yeah. I mean, having two great communicators on the field at a time is just phenomenal for our defense. Having Fredo at the linebacker position and then me and Corey back in the safety position, being able to communicate and get our guys lined up and just being able to put ourselves in the right position pre-snap helps a lot. Being able to read your assignment, being able to line up, it all helps out in the long run. And with those guys getting a lot of experience last year, it's built their confidence. So now that they got their playing time last year, I'm able to look at them and say, hey, I trust you, trust me, I got you. Let's go do this. It's helped a lot, so yeah.
Toby Cline hanging out with us here at the Jake Nulph Show. We're live from Charlie's Pub in Avery. Toby, thanks for taking some time with us. Best of luck to you and the Fighting Scots.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, Coach Nulph, as we turn the page to the Bloomsburg Huskies when we come back, we're live at Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99, just past the lake. This is the Jake Nulph Show.
At the 15, he's on his feet. 10, 5, touchdown!
The Jake Nulph Show.
Go Burrow.
Welcome back to Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99, just past the lake. It's the Jake Nulph Show. We turn the page to the Bloomsburg Huskies. And, of course, Bloomsburg is kind of a mystery. Back in the day, Bloomsburg was the gold standard. They've, kind of fell off, but in the last year and a half, they're beating teams that kind of leaves you scratching your head. Now they run the triple option. They've got is there anything that you can look back from? I mean, obviously, looking at the two deep, there's some names that we remember, but in many respects, this is a very different opponent.
Yeah, and it's because they have two new coordinators. So, their scheme is different, but the way they play is not. I mean, this is a physical, come after you, smash mouth type of game that we've been in for the last 3 weeks. And, Joe, that's the one thing is these games with Bloom, as you know, the last 2 years have just been wars. I mean, we went into overtime 2 years ago at home, and then last year was all the way down to the final possession of the game. I expect nothing other than their best punch. They're a well-coached football team. I've got a lot of respect for Coach Sheptalk and what he's done there. Watching the first two games against Fairmont State and Seton Hill, I mean, they're legit. I mean, they should be 2-0 right now. 4th and 6, 20-yard line, 16 seconds left. They're winning 14-9 against Seton Hill, and Seton Hill just dialed up a go ball. Kid won on the outside, and that's how Seton Hill ended up beating Bloom in the final seconds this past Saturday. But we're going to have our hands full. I mean, they're big, they're physical up front. Defensively, they bring a lot of pressure. They play an odd front, and it's almost like a 3-3 stack. So they are going to change the fourth rusher, and they stun a lot, and they throw a lot at you, and they give you some too high, they give you multiple coverages. And then offensively, you alluded to it. It's a version of the triple option, which is a little bit – it's not your traditional Georgia Tech Army triple option. So they're going to make you defend the field vertically and horizontally. They got a new quarterback who, number 18, who I really like on tape. They're efficient with him. He runs well. And then all of that ball handling they do, they try to slip some guys on you and hit the big shot. So we've got a challenge coming to Sox Harrison Saturday at noon.
You mentioned Redder, who caused you all kinds of problems. They got a much bigger kid in the middle.
Oh, yeah.
Number 99, Cancero. I mean, he's legit 315.
He's got a motor too, man.
How do you all the things that you want to do offensively, a kid like that has to be negated. How do you make sure that 99 isn't in your backfield?
Well, we've got to make sure that we communicate very well because of the ability that they bring multiple different fronts and stunts and blitzes and coverages. So, the communication piece, I thought Toby just articulated very well there defensively. I always equate the defensive back room to the offensive line room. Everybody's got to be on the same page. And if you're not, bad things happen. So, Coach Haw and Coach White will make sure that we, get a really good look at those fronts this week, and we got to make sure we account for everybody.
Now, when you talk about the prep for Bloom and it kind of being new, with the two new coordinators, is this sort of a rare week where you don't? I don't mean to say you don't worry about the opponent. You worry about what you're doing because there's just not a lot of film out there. You've got 2 games. I mean, when you guys look at film, it's not 2 games. It's multiple games. It's multiple years. So when you have that, is this? How do you prepare for this? Because there isn't the ability to go back and look at what they did 3 years ago, because what they did 3 years ago is irrelevant.
Yeah, right. No, that's a good point, Joe. I mean, we're going to take those 2 films that we got, and we're going to dissect it and break it down, and we'll get a game plan together. We've played 3 games. They've played 2. We're heading into week 4 for us. From a scheme standpoint, we're going to continue to build on what we do well, like you talked about, and make sure that we tighten everything up, make the corrections from the previous week, and then, include what they do well, and we have to have the ability to take that away. Whatever they do well defensively, we got to try to get them out of it, and then whatever they do well offensively, we got to try to get them out of it.
Now, is there anything that you can look at from your previous opponents that can kind of help? I mean, the triple option is not the RPO, but in theory, it's kind of the RPO. I mean, is there some?
They do some RPO principles off of it with that run action in the vertical pass game, and then the quarterback pitch phase of things. So yeah, it's a really good offense. I mean, look, it's not what they did last year, and then you look at the success they had against Fairmont State, and even Seton Hill, they do a really good job of creating those explosive plays, Joe, because then that's what the triple option does. It makes you be sound all of the time, and as soon as you get out of a gap or your eyes are peeking, it's down your throat and vertically into your secondary.
How many times do you anticipate saying contain this week?
I think force, fill, contain is going to be a lot of the language in assignment football dive quarterback pitch. So.
Obviously, we got to give the people what they want. 2 reasons you win, 2 reasons you lose.
Well, I think this week is, as in every week, I'm going to start with the turnover battle.
Which played a very large role last week.
And you look at the 2 games we've lost, we've been minus in that category. And then when you look at the game against Robert Morris, we were plus in that category. So we have to have the ability to take away the football and then hold on to the football and make sure that we get more possessions than our opponent. And then I'm going to go to the splash plays this week. We have to limit their plus 12 runs and plus 15 passes, and then we've got to get back on schedule offensively and create some of those juice plays.
Now, I do want to follow up with the splash play. And this I thought was probably a little bit more evident in the Robert Morris game, but maybe you win and you look at it differently. Defensively, it didn't feel against Kutztown that we had defensive splash plays. Like, when
the turnover that we created,
but you know,
right?
like, yeah. But when you're playing Robert Morris, and I just remember with the Nate, like, I remember one play, not the interception, but Adrian made a hit, and we were in the commercial. I'm like this is gonna happen. Like, there weren't the same impactful moment. Is that?
No, you
like,
agreed.
Like, and then how do you prepare, and how do you try to make sure that those happen?
Well, as far as the 3-game sample that we have of our football team here in 2024, we play extremely hard. We play extremely physical. Guys are flying around. We're getting hats to the football. We're making big hits. We just got to keep straining and keep getting better. And, I always feel like if you play the right way, then bounces are going to happen for you. So, unfortunately, we were on the other end of it this past Saturday at Kutztown. Now we have another opportunity to get back on the positive side against Bloom.
All right, I want to thank all of our great sponsors. Of course, we're live at Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Fat Willie's, Walker Brothers Chevrolet, Folkrod and Associates, Fish USA, Willow Creek Barnwood Furniture, Ergo Audio, of course, ErieInjury.com, the title sponsor of the network. I also want to thank Lincoln Foundry, great sponsors on the Fighting Scots Radio Network. Airtime 11, the big fella will be with me this Saturday as airtime is 11, noon kick. We will talk to you on the radio, and of course, Coach.
Go Burrow.
At the 15, he's on his feet, 10, 5, touchdown!
The Jake Nulph Show.
Go Burrow.